But yeah, thank you so much for everyone for joining in. This is our Dear Teach in the UK webinar. It's just really a good overview of all things moving to the UK, the process, a little bit about us, obviously, and the steps kind of in your journey. Yeah, we're here to answer any questions that you have and hopefully provide as much information as we can without it being too overwhelming. But yeah, if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or take your video off or just take your mic off and ask us. But yeah, before we kind of get into it, we'll just do the acknowledgement of country. So I'm in Melbourne, so we respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of these lands, the Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nation on which we are meeting today. We recognise the continuing connection to the lands, waters and skies, and we pay our respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nations people present today. But yeah, I'm Liv. I'm in Melbourne, and I'm from New Zealand originally. I'm a primary teacher, and yeah, I moved over to London, a fresh grad. I didn't teach for too long. I actually ended up in a recruitment job over there. But yeah, absolutely loved it. Moved to Melbourne in 2022, so nearly been here for 2 years. And yeah, I've been working on the global team for like the last year and a half, supporting people move over to the UK and love it. Yeah, the UK is an awesome place. I moved to travel and came back with like a lot more than just that. So could not recommend it yeah, anymore.
Thanks, Liv. Yeah, my name is Nate or Nathan. So I'm actually a past teacher. So I did a double move actually. I moved from Canada to Australia as a teacher, went through the whole process. ANZ UK helped me get there. Taught with ANZ UK for the year, and then did the same thing. Moved over I was in Australia over to the UK. But last minute, I decided to come work with these beautiful people over in the London office. Just wanted to try something else, and I was so happy with the way ANZ UK provided me with support throughout my journey. So I've been in the London office over here since September, and yeah, my job over here is I'm speaking with educators from overseas, helping them move to London, and then another one of my main jobs is talking with schools, talking with educators on the ground, and just connecting those two, finding you work when you move over here. So if you do, or when you do, I should say, get over here. My job will be basically getting you work if it's day to day or it's long term.
Thank you. Fab.
And hello, everybody. My name is Claire. I'm also a Kiwi and I'm on the ground in New Zealand at the moment. So I'm beaming in from Auckland. I'm a New Zealand trained primary school teacher, and I lived and worked in London for 2 years, went over on a working holiday visa at the time. I did a mixture of day-to-day and long-term, and I ended up teaching in special needs over there, which was brilliant and something that everyone can do. You don't have to have any special needs training or qualifications to do that. When I came back to New Zealand, I have been supporting educators ever since, and I've got a bit of a split role. So I help New Zealand-based educators moving over to Australia as well. So we're all part of the global team, and as you can see, we're all globally located, and yeah, so that's sort of all of our mission is to get you guys on the move as well. So tonight we are going to be introducing ourselves and who we are, and how it works working through an agency. We're going to cover reasons why to go and what the steps are, so where to start, and you need to do it sort of in the right order. Best times to arrive, so we'll cover the term dates, and that's really important to be across as well before you start your planning too far ahead. We'll go over the visa requirements, talk about where we can help you and what kind of work you can do, what it's like in the schools. There's also some relocation bonuses on offer. And then we'll sort of talk about what it's like when you're there, the support that you're given. We are big on supporting you on arrival. So we'll go into details on that as well, and the resources that we offer. And of course, we'll have questions at the end, or as Liv said, you can just pop things in the chat as we go if you want.
But yeah,
Great, keeping up.
do you want to go? Yeah.
Is that me, Liv? Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm just trying to scroll my thing as I go. So we are global, as we mentioned. So obviously, Nate's come in from Canada over to Australia. We do actually have an office in Canada, but we don't bring teachers into the country. So that's not actually showing on here, but we do support Canadian educators moving, like Nate. So in Australia, we've got 9 offices across the country. And we've actually got 2 offices here in New Zealand as well, under our sister company called EP Education. We've got 14 offices across the States if you were lucky enough to be a US passport holder or nab a green card. But what we're talking to you about tonight is the offices that we have in the UK. And actually, we've kind of got 5 offices now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Liv? Yeah. So we're going to go cover those and talk about, as I said, where and when we can help you. But the whole idea is that at the start of your journey, you'll be speaking to someone in your own country. So we're here to support you in Australia and New Zealand. And then you're also going to start making connections with the UK team quite early in your journey. And that means you've always got someone there to support you. If you're at 9 o'clock and you hear some sort of thing that worries you or you want to get some support, you've got the UK team in real time on the ground over there as well. But it's really nice making those connections with them quite early on as well. So sometimes New Zealanders might go to Australia and then on to the UK, or we're here to support you wherever we go. And it's a great job to travel with, so you really want to make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I guess about us, our values and everything. So yeah, we have our Be Great values, which kind of goes through to the belief, equity, growth, relationships, empower, attitude, and team. And that's broken down not just like in our internal with everyone that works in our office, but external with our educators, our clients, and students as well that we support. We're really big on providing exceptional experiences, and that's literally at the heart, like it says, of what we do. And our goal is to place you the right teacher in the right classroom every time. Everyone's time's different. Some people, we speak with leaving like next week. Some people are leaving end of 2025 and like onwards. So yeah, it's just really making sure that that time is right for you, and everything in between. But yeah, should we put it to a poll? And yeah, has anyone actually been? Has anyone been to the UK before? I hadn't been personally before I moved. I just had heard lots of good things, so I thought, how bad can it be? And yeah, had you been over before, Nate, or was it your first time when you moved? Or
I'd never been. I just was like, let's do it. Let's move there.
Yeah, I think that's the same for like lots.
I've just popped that in the chat.
Oh, cool.
Love the poll. Yeah,
amazing. So yeah, if anyone's been to
a few people now have actually been over for a holiday, haven't they? But, most of our educators haven't stepped foot, so it makes a little bit more a bit more nerve-wracking because it's quite hard to imagine what it's actually going to be like. But
yeah, it's that fear of the unknown for some people as well. They don't know what to expect and everything. But yeah, it's a real mixed bag. But yeah, Nate, take us through life in the UK. Obviously, the clocks are about to change, which is awesome. It's going to get lighter.
Yes, I'm excited for it. Right now it is 7 in the morning, but luckily it started getting light at like 6 a.m. right now, so it's actually a lot easier to wake up. But yeah, the clocks are about to change. It is getting warmer out, thankfully. Yeah, summertime is just bumping in the UK, or it's about to get a lot more busy for sure. So I moved here myself in July, and I had heard about the UK. It was rainy and cloudy, but you know what? In July and August, I had many sunburns. So I don't know, just saying. But yeah, so we have many work opportunities from January 2024 and beyond. Absolutely. So I would say there is definitely a need for educators in our schools. So that is teachers, TAs, anything from receptionists, admin, groundskeepers, long-term, short-term, daily supply, anything. Like they need teachers and they will pay for teachers. And that's just because London is so popular and so such a high population, right? It's so busy. So yeah, definitely a good idea to start moving or thinking about your move over. Obviously, spring has just kicked off, so it's getting busier. Usually around now, schools start looking at who are they going to hire for September. So they do online interviews to people that are coming over from Australia. I've placed a couple educators before they've even moved over. They do an online interview with a school they really like their place before they come. That could be a teacher, a teaching assistant, anything. But really just the life in general over in the UK. There is always something to do. If you want more wholesome activities, there is, you know, your parks, your like you can go to the coast. You could obviously travel through up to the UK by train, or if you want the busy day life, nightlife, whatever it is, the middle of London is definitely where you're gonna find that. And we, as ANZ UK, obviously have educator events. We just had what was it, at a brewery. It was just unlimited drinks for because they're just like, you know what, let's make this one unlimited drinks. But we've had others that it's less drinking focused and more like we've had lawn bowling, we've had Christmas parties, we've had information sessions. So ANZ UK as a whole also just it's just a great place to meet other educators. So yeah, the final point, UK is bumping.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess like there's also like lots of obviously reasons for teaching abroad. Why did you move over to the UK, Nate?
Yeah, well, so my personal reason, well, why I started my journey in total is I just wanted something new, right? So I moved to Australia because I wanted to step out of my comfort zone, like it says here. I did that with Australia, and after teaching for a year, I'm like, I want to move to the UK because it's very similar reasons, right? I've had Australia, now I want to see what the UK can provide. For traveling reasons, it can provide Europe, which is right there, super, super cheap to travel Europe. But for personal growth reasons, like the UK is different from Australia and is different from Canada. It has different curriculum and has different opportunities. And like, I don't know who is at the beginning of this session, but the UK people as well are just a different breed on their own. And I've learned so much from them. I love them. Their humor, their everything is just great to be around too. So just simply to meet new people, new culture, an experience of living in another country, as it says there. Obviously, I moved over to develop my teaching skills in the UK, but last minute I decided to throw that away and come on into the office. But if I did it, I'm sure I would be just as happy. You can definitely increase your curriculum knowledge because the UK is different from Australia. So increasing your just career knowledge at once. And then, yeah, as it says over here, just life experiences. Like I am definitely not the same person I was before I started traveling the world. I feel like I've grown. I look back at that person before and I was like, wow, like I wish I could speak to that Nate 2 years ago before I left to go travel the world because I've learned so much. My mindsets have changed. And overall, I actually just appreciate what I value more in life since traveling across the world. And I appreciate my family even more now because I've left and I'm not with them all the time. And when I do talk to them, I even appreciate them more than ever. No more fights about doing the dishes with my mom. Instead, the conversations on FaceTime go wonderful. So yeah, just super happy with moving across the world for sure.
Yeah, and the things that you don't even like realize are happening until you're like in it, or like you do leave and you're like, oh well, like that wasn't always what you kind of go before. But yeah, you definitely learn a lot about yourself. Definitely moving to another country. Yeah, no, 100%. So yeah, I guess like steps in your journey, like we've kind of mentioned, everyone's journey timeline can be quite different. But yeah, essentially you'll have a contact point, either in New Zealand or Australia. And yeah, like clear up myself, and we'll talk to you all about your plans, visas, just like kind of understanding like what you're looking for to move over, where you're looking to go to, yeah, any questions that you have, and yeah, within like 12 months of you like looking to go over, we pop you in touch with a UK consultant, so someone like Nate. It would depend like where you're looking to go in the UK, and we'll touch on our locations in a minute, but yeah, you'll have a consultant who's your UK point of contact, and yeah, they've got pretty frequent contact with you every like kind of 2 months initially, and then in the lead up every, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks. It really depends. And then that's kind of also where you have the chance to interview online if you're looking for a contract. So like lots of people we work with get placed, like Nate was saying, before they leave, which is a really, really nice feeling. We also have an awesome compliance team who they kind of start that process. It's around 2 months from when you're looking to arrive. And then, yeah, they can get you all cleared for work and take you through that whole process. And then, yeah, it will book in a registration with your consultant, like Nate. He'll run you through everything, go through all the policies, as well as just like kind of chatting through what you're looking for in work and things like that. And then, yeah, you're literally cleared for work and you're in the classroom. So, yeah, that's broken down quite simply, I guess. But and yeah, everyone's a bit different in terms of like how long. And like I said, I talked to someone like last week that's heading over this week, and things like that. So yeah, we really just like really make it work. But yeah, it's good to have someone in your like wherever you're from, Australia, New Zealand, and then someone in the UK as well. So when you do eventually touch down, you can go on and meet them, go for a pint or a coffee, depending on I don't know the time of day or the day of the week. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I guess like a really you guys are going to talk about the best time to arrive. Oh, Claire, you're on mute. Classic.
Unmute. There we go. I'll just go from the Australasian side of things, Nate, and then if you want to talk about your side, it's just that our terms are quite different. So it's important that you're sort of just aware of when that 6-week holiday break is, which is well, yeah, they're coming up about, it's normally around the 20th to 25th of July, and the schools are shut down. So it's like December, January in Australia and New Zealand. So there's really no work at that time. So it's just important to factor that into your travels. And we still have lots of educators arriving in June and July, and that's because the weather's amazing. And but you need to, it's expensive if you're just hanging around London waiting for work. So just make sure that you've got some Europe travel planned over that time instead. But the best times to get there, they're on a 3-term year. So again, quite different to what we do. Each term is about 13 weeks long, but one of those weeks in the middle is a week off. So it's really good. You've got 6 weeks teaching, then you get a midterm break of 1 week, and then you go back for 6 weeks. And that's how they structure the terms. So you've only got sort of 6.5 weeks to teach before you get a break, and you can really do well on your traveling if you plan that in and factor it in. So you can do 6 weeks, then you're off to Spain for a week, and then you can do 6 weeks and you've got a 2-week break, and you want to head off up to Ireland and Scotland and do a roadie. Or so if you book out a year like that, the teaching's just sort of getting you into those places. So best times to get there for a long-term role is at the start of one of those terms. So either September, January, or April. They're all quite busy terms, even though some January and April are midterm. There's still a lot of movement at those times as well. And then if you want to do day-to-day, then try sort of the day-to-day will pick up about 3 weeks into September, and then that will be busy all the way through until sort of around end of May, and then depending on whether you're primary or secondary, it will start to peter out a bit. So if you want to do day-to-day, you can get there in October, you can get there on the 6th of January, you can get there whenever you like. We'll work around you and work on that. Nate, have you got something to add on that?
No, I feel like I'm learning from you over here. Like that, you hit the nail on the head. I'm like, well, she makes some good points. Yeah, no, I think, it just depends on if finances are a thing, then coming close to before the summer, like that 6-week break, that's just one thing you want to think about. Like, I mean, I myself moved over in July, and I actually got a different job for 4 weeks. I just got a job in a restaurant while I was waiting for the September start. So there's always other options, right? Because some people want to see the UK summer for sure, and that's what I wanted. So that's why I moved over in July myself. But yeah, definitely there's at the beginning of those 3 terms is usually the way to go for that long-term job. But if they're looking for day-to-day, they can really come over at any point, and we can get them started on our ambassador contract, which I'm sure we'll get into later.
Yeah, and then and if people are looking for to start in September, when are those roles kind of coming through? Are they coming through now, or
yes,
they're coming through now?
I would say they start a little bit now, but they trickle in and around, from what I've heard, start to come early July, later August.
Mm.
Online interviews work well for that. And then again, beginning of September, schools open and head teachers would be like, oh, we forgot to find someone for this role, and then they might need someone then too. So even if you are coming in September, long-term roles are still an option, and they still realize that there's more roles that they need to fill. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to chuck a poll up here too, Liv, if that's
Yeah.
all right. I'll chuck one up
Pop
in
it
the
in.
chat. So yeah, pop
When
it
is
in.
everyone
Poll
looking to go?
when. Yeah. Lots of our Australasians sort of will finish their studies or finish their year and then have summer holidays and might have a few events to go to, and then sort of that February, March, April's quite a popular time to go because it's sort of rolling into the European summer over there. So you sort of, just when we're going into daylight savings, is quite a nice time to turn up over there, and it gives you at least a term's work to save up some pounds, which is really good to have in your bank for traveling. It's quite nice to travel on some pounds.
Yeah, definitely. I think I moved over in, I think, July, and then I traveled for a month in August, one or the other, and did that before school kind of started back too. So I feel like it's like no right or wrong time to really arrive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of like that. I know a lot of people do finish the school year here, which just obviously makes sense to finish their role. But yeah, let's go into the visa requirements. I don't know if anyone's looked into this or if they know much about like what visas they'll need. But yeah, Claire, do you want to run us through it?
Oh, yes. All right. So the most popular one, so you do need the right to work in the UK. You can't just turn up on an Australian or New Zealand passport. If you do turn up at the airport, you can't on a one-way ticket. They will not let you in. If you have an ongoing ticket, then they will give you a tourist visa. Is it 6 months or 3 months, Liv? Or Nate, you know? Oh, they'll give you a tourist visa, but you're not allowed to work on that. So you do need to get something. You need to get a big sticker in your passport. So this is the most common route, which is a youth mobility scheme. You have to apply for your visa before you leave the country. The youth mobility scheme, you can apply within a 6-month window of your arrival into the UK. And to be eligible for this one, you need to be under 36 at the time of arriving, at the time of applying. So if you're 35 and a half or 35 and 11 months, you can get your application in. You don't have to enter the country. You just got to get that sticker in your passport. You need to show that you've got access to, we don't have that on here, do we? About $5,000 in your account. So you need to have a little bit of savings in there. And it gives you 2 years to live and work in the UK initially, with the option of extending that for another year once you're over there if you wish. So it's £300 odd to apply, and then you've got an immigration healthcare surcharge. So what that is it's access to their free public healthcare system. So it's a bit like forced health insurance for you, and that will cover you for everything. If you break your leg, if you need an emergency operation, you are covered by the UK healthcare system, but you have to pay for that privilege before you arrive. So currently that's sitting at £1,500 on. So your total cost is £1,850. It is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You can only apply for this visa once, and that's it. So it is an incredible opportunity and experience. So so that's that, and that's taking around 3 to 10 weeks. The ancestry visa, you're only eligible for this if you have a grandparent on either side who was in the UK. Eligible for that, we can talk you through that process. What we find generally is that even if people are eligible for this, if they're eligible for the youth mobility scheme, they'll still go for that one just due to cost, because if you look at the total cost of ancestry visa, that's a significant amount more. However, it can lead to citizenship for the UK. So it's a pathway to getting a British passport over there. So if your long-term plans fall into that, then you better should just go straight onto your ancestry visa. And we do have a visa support team, which is a bit of a unique point that ANZ UK offer, and they assist hugely with these applications. So they basically just take the load off, and you can just tell them which one you want to apply for. They'll prompt you for the information, and they just take over and manage the whole process for you. So it does make it a lot less stressful. But you do want to make sure you allow enough time for these to come through, because you have to send your passport away as part of the application. So you don't want to be cutting it fine. We've had educators in the past who are flying out on Friday and their passport's not back. Kind of ruins the whole pre-departure hype if you're holding out, tracking where your passport is. So other ones is, these are a little less common, as a skilled worker visa. So for teachers in STEM subject areas, secondary only, there is a potential chance that we may be able to support you finding a permanent role with the school over a digital interview, and then the school arranging a sponsorship visa for you. You would only look at this as an option if you weren't eligible for any other visa, because it does restrict your options quite significantly, but there is an option for that. So experienced maths, science, particularly physics, Mandarin teachers and English teachers we have had success with as well. And then some other options, if you're all out of options on those, you can also go and find a nice Englishman and hit him up in the pub, and or an English lady, and we'll do magic and try and go on a partner or spousal visa. You do have to invest 2 years of your time on that pathway, because you need to be together for 2 years. Obviously, if you have a UK passport or an Irish passport, so if you've got those other sort of pathways, and there is an HPI visa if you were a graduate from the University of Melbourne, or actually I've got my screen hiding that one, Liv. What's the other one?
University of Queensland. Yeah. In the top 50 universities.
Yeah, so if you graduated. So there's a new, that's relatively new as well, but could be an option again if you're all out on the other options. So
No, fair. Cool. Well, we'll kind of run through our location options, like where we are based across the UK. I'm not sure if anyone knows where they're looking to head to. So from all of our office locations, we can supply anywhere from your casual day-to-day work all the way through to like your long-term, like permanent options and things. We have, we'll go through that really, but I guess our head office, London. Nate, do you want to run us through all things London, the lifestyle, kind of, I don't know, rent and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. London is definitely bumping. It's busy. So there is, anything you want in London, it can provide for sure. Like there is areas like Clapham, where if you're an Australian and you want to be near Australians still, and you guys want to, you move there, like there is so many Australians that move to that area just because that's where they have like the footy club and all these other things. Or if you want more hipstery, you can move to a place called Hackney. You can also live outside of central London. I live in a place called Bexley that's a little bit out because I wanted a little bit quieter of a life with more, scenery and, nature. So yeah, like I said, London can definitely provide a lot. Or there's like a place called Camden that just has like day markets on day markets, and you're going to be spending money thrifting all the time. And it's just great. Like, so it just depends what you want. Look into it. I'm sure you've been sent the guide that says a little bit about all of London. If you haven't, we'll get that to you. But yes, so for the rent, I myself, with utilities and everything, I pay around about £800 a month, and that's with my rent plus the utilities. Now, I think it's really important to note that when you're looking at a place in London, like I myself, I picked a little bit further outside of London because it was cheaper, but my transit costs to come into London kind of bring it up to similar to if I even just lived more in central London. So yes, you might see that some of the prices in more central London might be a little bit higher than outside, but then you got to remember you're going to save money on transit too. So that's just one thing I like to give a tip to people moving over here is when you're looking, you don't have to live super far from London, just because you're going to be paying more in to transit in, versus if you live closer, then the taxes might be less. There's another thing called like town council tax that you pay, so that will be less. But yeah, I pay around 800 with everything included. And I moved over with my best friend, so I moved over to Australia with him. Then we moved over here together, and it's just it's basically a house. It's just 2 bedrooms, but there is many ways to find accommodation. I'm sure we get into that a bit, but like
Mm.
Aussies in London and different Facebook pages. But yeah, so you can also, for transit, there is monthly passes you can get for public transport, depending on what zones you're living in. But on average, it looks like it's about 184 pounds per month.
Yeah, fair. And the public transport's obviously really good, is
Oh, so
great.
good. It's so
Yeah.
good. I get on the train. I got on the train this morning at what time? Like 5:55, just because I got to get into the office for 6:30 today. And so quiet. I literally fall asleep meditating for 30 minutes. I set my alarm. Like the transit here is just great. And then there's the underground tube that you can get anywhere like that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was always I got the bus to work. That was great, and it was like cheap. But yeah, the
Yes.
tube is literally so good. Like every like 30 seconds sometimes.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
wild.
yeah, no, it's great. Um, but yeah, otherwise we have an office in Surrey. So Surrey is a region just south of London. It's almost like on the cusp, like it's like Zone 6 London and Surrey are almost like the same. So yeah, we work like in a few different parts of Surrey. But yeah, I guess it's more of a slower pace. There are some bigger towns like Epsom, Guildford, and Woking. There's awesome transport links from there into London. I think like sometimes it can almost be quicker if you're living in Surrey getting the train to central London than if you like live in London sometimes. So yeah, whether that's going into Clapham Junction Station, which is a huge train station there, or like right into central like London Bridge. But yeah, it's something for everyone. Lots of people we work with they might live in London and work in Surrey schools, or they live in Surrey and then they work in like a London school. So real mixture really. Yeah, rent costs, it just depends on kind of what part again you're living in. If you're in a 1 bedroom, so like a studio, or if you're like in a rental, like a bigger house. But yeah, it's a little bit cheaper than London. But yeah, the Surrey team are awesome. And yeah, we have an office in Newport in Wales as well, which is in the south of Wales. So it's super close to Cardiff. So we yeah, if you're moving to Wales, you're probably going to move possibly to Cardiff, or Newport. Yeah, Wales is awesome. I went there just for a long weekend and I loved it. Rents, it tends to be the why people move as well. It's a lot cheaper. It's just yeah, the lifestyles is just like really lovely, really. It's still really easy to get through to other countries and things like that. But yeah, the rent, like I said, is a lot cheaper, about 500 to 600 something pounds. So that is like always nice, paying less. And then yeah, the Wales team are epic. And yeah, the schools respond really well to having international teachers, and then they love everyone's accents and things like that, and whatnot. So yeah, and then we have an office in Bristol as well. So Bristol's awesome, really like arty, vibrant city. I had some flatmates who moved there and absolutely loved it. They moved there from London. It's still small enough to be friendly, but yeah, it's still a city, so there's still heaps kind of going on. I think it's a uni city, so like there's heaps of like that kind of that younger feel to it, I guess. A river kind of runs all the way through it, and lots of pubs and cafes and stuff there. Yeah, international airport as well, which is awesome. So you can fly out to Europe really easily. And yeah, it's just a lovely city. Rent's a little bit less than London. London just tends to be like the peak of across the UK,
Mhm.
and everywhere. The further you go out, the cheaper your rent is probably going to be. But yeah, again, with your public transport and things as well, you're paying for that. So yeah, the offices all across, everyone that works in offices are awesome. And yeah, able to kind of give you advice on set areas. Suburbs of the areas to live in. And we've actually recently opened an office in Southampton, which we haven't put on here yet because we didn't have all the information. I think it opened like literally, I think about 2 weeks ago. So it's pretty fresh. But yeah, we service across Southampton and there's a few different kind of areas, but we'll provide the more info in the kind of coming weeks when we have all that. But yeah, I think Claire just popped a poll in. Where is everyone looking to move to? I'm not sure if anyone, London, yep. Tends to be just the place, really. I know I didn't really know much about the UK when I moved over, so it was London for me. But yeah, I think Bristol would definitely have been a close second had I had been in the UK longer. I really enjoyed it there when I visited.
You could do like a year in London and then move
Yeah,
out, or
you definitely
just follow
can.
you around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really easy to do that. We all use the teams will use the same like system and things like that, so it's super simple just to pop you through people when people do move around as well. But yeah, I guess we've kind of touched on the transport side of things. But Nate, so you're on the train most of the time to work. It's how you get into like London.
Yeah, so there's three main options for sure. I take the overground, which is nice and quiet. Then you got the tube, which gets you there fast, a bit busier, and then there's the bus, which is definitely the cheapest option. So say you're on day-to-day supply work, when you're getting called to schools, you might realize that bus might take 5 minutes longer, but it does save you some money. So that's what's nice about London is there is that option. I would definitely bike to work if I could, but I checked and it's like an hour 40, and I really don't want to bike an hour 40 every morning at 5 or I guess 5 a.m. But if you can bike, a lot of people do it just because you save so much money. And not only that, like you get to see the city when you're biking around. You could do supply, and be biking somewhere, more up north, and you just get to see things, right? So yeah, if I could, I would definitely have a bike right now, just saying. But yeah, there's so many options, and there's by foot too. Like some of my educators live within walking distance of the school they work at, 20-minute walk, 25-minute walk. So it's so nice for them. Or I have one guy that loves to run, so he always asks me, how far is it in kilometers? Because he's like, oh yes, I can do a 7K this morning, I can do a half marathon. I'm like, yeah, dope, go. Dope, do your thing. I'm like, and then he's actually asked me as well if the school provides a shower, and the school agreed to it, so he actually can run to work in the morning. He'll shower at the school before the kids get there, and then get ready. So like there's just so cool, because he gets to exercise and save time. So there's so many ways to get to work over here in London, and so yeah.
Definitely. And I think if you're looking to live maybe in like Wales or Bristol, a car could be a good option as well. And Surrey, just to have a bit more like flexibility in terms of like where you're gonna for work, as well as just like nice if you want to leave the city as well. If you want to get out and go for a road trip for the weekend, cars are pretty cheap in the UK. So I've heard, which is nice. But yeah. I guess like probably the most common question we get asked, Claire, right, is we're finding somewhere to live. I get asked that probably every call that I have.
Definitely. Yeah. So the common pathway that people take is either hit up any friends or family that you've got over there and stay with them when you first arrive, or getting something short term like an Airbnb or sort of a cheaper, more budget sort of hotel or something. You do need, Nate, I'll let you've got more recent experience, but you need probably at least 10 days to give yourself time, at least, to have a good look around and find something. But that's what most people will do. And you can also find sometimes you can get sublease opportunities as well through some of the Facebook groups that we've popped up there as well. But Nate, you're best speaking on that. You've just done it last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, like I said previously, I moved over with my friend. So we were looking for 2-bedroom apartments. We didn't feel like we wanted to do like the whole house share thing, but that's obviously an option too that a lot of people do, because I kind of wish, part of me, like that I did it as well, because you put yourself out of your comfort zone, and you do get to meet, like if you live with 2 other people, you get to make new friends and new experiences. But we decided to be a little more introverted and just get our own place. But like you said, Claire, I think we had an Airbnb booked for about 3 to 4 weeks. It definitely is a competitive market. But I think the best thing to do is if you find something that 70% of you loves, go for it, because it is very competitive. And then just be aggressive. Like, we found a place, we looked at it, and the real estate agent's office was below us, like literally a 2-minute walk. So we walked in there and we we're like, what do we need to give you right now to have this place by tomorrow? We're like, we want it tomorrow. We'll go get cash and put it on your. They said, no, don't bring us cash. It doesn't make any sense. This is not how that works. This is not 1950. But yeah, just be aggressive. If you really like a place, be like, this is what we want. We can provide references. ANZ UK will provide you with proof of employment, proof of salary, which a lot of these places will ask for as well. But yeah, if you find something you like, I would just say be aggressive, go for it. And there's obviously like so many open houses you can plan. So that's what we did when we moved here, was we planned like 5 open houses on a Saturday, 5 on a Sunday. But the third one we liked on the Saturday, we were like, this is what we want. We got all the details in. A week later, we're moving in. So it took us about 3 weeks to finally move into somewhere. So I would say you probably want to have at least 3 to 5 weeks planned for an Airbnb, just because when I moved to Australia and did the same thing, we only planned an Airbnb for a week, and then we booked another one for 3 days, and then that one ran out, and we moved 5 different times in Australia before finding a place. So I recommend, just if you can, book longer, and you could possibly cancel early and save your money. That's better than having to move 2 suitcases 5 times.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
stressful.
It's not so we
That's
learned,
awful.
we did it here, learned from my mistakes, and just book an Airbnb a bit longer.
Yeah, and you can get like weekly
good
discounts
advice.
as well for Airbnb, which is really good. So those should like
Yes.
take something off, or if it's a month, it'll be like less as well, which is good.
Exactly. Yeah.
And most places are totally furnished over there, right down to the knives and forks. All you need is your own linen to move in. So it's pretty unusual, really, isn't it? But yeah, when you're looking for a room, and that's in a shared established flat, everything's sort of there for you. So that does make it easier. And when you're comparing prices, you take into account some of the prices of rent might have utility bills included, and over there, the tenants pay the council rates as well, so it's responsibility. So you in flats, just make sure you're across whether that's got the bills included in or not. And it's monthly rent over there. Everything's sort of, all the bills come out on the first of the month, including your rent. And another thing is it's a month's rent in advance and a month's rent for your bond. So you need to have some money ready to go for that outlay. It's a decent outlay initially. So just be ready for that.
Yeah. And do you think recommend like,
that's,
oh, sorry.
No, you're right.
I was gonna say, it's really good to, like, when you're over there, people do sometimes secure places before they leave, but it is a really nice when you're over there to like see the place in person, as well as like how close is it to a transport, like a tube or an overground, or like kind of whatever, or a bus stop. Like I made that mistake when I moved over. I just chose the first house I found. I was like, sweet, take it. And then it was actually like a 20-25 minute walk to a tube, which like, it's not long, but in the middle of winter, like that, it's long. And then I ended up
that adds on to your traveling.
It does.
Time.
Yeah, it's an extra like hour,
you pay a lot more to be close to a tube.
Yeah, exactly.
It's worth it. So,
it is worth it. And it is, I think I just everyone to kind of be open, minded. Like Nate was saying, like lots of our Kiwi Aussies moved to Clapham. It's like the St Kilda for all the Irish when they moved to Melbourne. It's like the same thing. There's some awesome suburbs that aren't just Clapham, and like can be super close if you still want to like live in the southwest. So yeah, just be open-minded to different areas and things. I think kind of wherever you end up, you'll love. And you can always move. I moved twice when I was there, just because I wanted 2 different kind of areas. So you're not always bound to that first place if you don't like want to.
Just on those sites as well, you have to be careful. Don't put any money across before you arrive if you haven't seen the property, because on Spare Room, Rightmove, they're great sites, but there are people set up on there as false estate agents and things like that. So do be careful, because we have had that in the past. And we've got that Facebook group. Did you see that one come through in the chat, today, or was it last week, looking for
Oh,
found a
yeah.
4-bedroom flat, so there, there's things popping up on those groups all the time. So they're looking for a couple more flatmates. They're trying to put a flat together. They've found a flat. So yeah,
Yeah, that's on our
we've got some avenues as well.
that's on our community Facebook page, like our ANZ UK group, that we've got like a live chat. So
Yeah,
on there.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll send you a link for you guys to all to join that. But yeah, just like kind of be flexible where needed. Sometimes people take like a short-term lease as well. Like a sublet for like 3 or 6 weeks, or like however long someone's away for. And that's like nice as well. Especially if you like, don't know anyone, you can like meet the people. We had quite a few people do that in the flat I lived in, and they met people through us, and then they end up living with them and things. So yeah, sometimes you just really never know who you're gonna meet, and like where. But yeah, we'll keep going through. But Nate, talk us through our work kind of options.
Yeah, absolutely. So to start with, there we have obviously just the supply day-to-day cover. So some educators might not want to jump into a long-term role right away. So if you're looking for more just day-to-day to feel out what London life is like, then we have an app that we use, what's called the Ready to Work app. So you can go on there, update any of your availability. So if you're taking off a Friday because you're flying to Paris for the weekend, you can easily just book off a Friday on the app. So we won't call you on that day. But the best thing that works with that is in the morning when I come in, I can see exactly who's looking to work that day, because what you will do is you'll log in around 7 a.m. before 7 a.m. and just hit ready to work. I will see that this person wants to work for the day, and we'll call them out to work. So we have an ambassador agreement. It's called our ambassador program. So it's something that we offer where you are guaranteed work 5 days, 4 to 5 days of work a week. If you sign that contract, when you sign that contract, if you sign it before you move over here, after you work a certain amount of days, I think we get into that later, but you get about £250. And then the other option is that you are guaranteed work. So even though you're not on a long term, you're guaranteed that supply work. Whereas if you log in, you hit ready to work, and we don't call you, we will pay you for the day, which is a really nice thing to have, just a sense of security. So that's obviously day to day. Then we have our long-term contracts, and our long-term contracts, your pay will be higher, obviously, because you are planning. You get to mark. You get to really be enmeshed inside of a school. So we have a scale. If you're wondering what scale you're on, feel free to reach out to one of us and ask, or you can just Google long-term teacher pay scale London. And dependent on how many years of experience you have, that's what your pay will be. So that's what your daily rate will be, or it will show up as your salary. So if you're on your 3rd year of teaching, well, then you would be on something called M3. So the M3 pay scale is, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's around 40K a year, depending on if you're inner or outer London, what school you're working at. So yeah, definitely look into that. If you're on your 1st year, still you'd be on M1. Again, you will be making more on a long-term rate than you would be on day-to-day. It just depends on kind of what you want. Like I said, some people come over, just start with supply, they feel it out. Or some people are like, yep, I want to get my career development going. And as we were talking about earlier, we have that half-term break after 6.5 weeks or 7 weeks. You still have that 2-week break between terms. So you still will have the opportunity to have time off, to travel, plus you're making a little bit more money because you're on the long-term scale. So either way works. If you're still worried about traveling, you can travel on either long-term or day to day. And then the final thing is permanent contracts. So this is basically where you start working at a school and they're like, yep, we love this educator. We want to have them on permanently with us. So basically what that means is that you're no longer working through ANZ UK. You will be working and be completely employed by the school. Usually this happens after someone works long-term at a school, and the school is like, we want to pay them fully, like on a salary. So obviously the pay changes to a salary instead of a pay scale. So usually it's similar to what we're paying you, except now you're getting paid over the holidays. So you're getting paid throughout the year, versus with us, you're getting paid over 195 days usually adds up to about the same, because obviously ANZ UK wants to make sure we're paying you to scale on what salary you're at. But yeah, you'd get paid throughout the holidays, and you'd no longer be with us, which is sad, but also good opportunity for you. And if something ever does happen and you're in a permanent role and you're ever like, I want to go back to day to day, you are you're totally free to do that. Reach out to us. We'll have you back, and we'll get you on day to day. So you're not stuck in anything. I want to reiterate that, just because sometimes people feel like, they've moved across the world and now they're in the job that they're working, and they're committed to 2 years, but you can always change it up. And that's what's important to note when you move across the world is there's still options. And ANZ UK and myself and the whole London team and Liv and Claire, we all have your back. So you're always welcome to come back. If you need to switch something up, we're happy to accommodate.
Definitely. And you can still come to our events and things as well. Don't feel because
Yes.
you've got a long-term role to school, you can't come. We definitely want you to come.
Yes, please.
And you're part of please.
Please come.
But yeah, and I guess our key stages, that's kind of like, Nate, I guess you're probably better running us through that, how the schools are kind of broken down.
Sure. Yeah. So it's pretty simple. There is the early years teacher, which would be teaching 0 to 3 in nurseries. You've got nursery, and then you have reception. So if you're coming over as an early years teacher, you would be working with our early years team, which we have. It's completely separate from our primary and our secondary. And then you have the Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. So this is your primary teacher. This is Key Stage, you're going to hear that a lot, is, we have a Key Stage 1 general cover day. And that would mean you might be covering anywhere from, it could even be reception or year 1 and year 2. And then we have Key Stage 2, which is years 3 to 6. So that's the primary school. Primary schools here go up to year 6. Majority of them do. Some of them go a little bit further up to year 8, just because they might be a private school. It might do something a little bit differently. But majority of the schools, primary schools, are Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. Then you have your secondary schools. So if you are coming over as a secondary teacher and you're, so let's say you're a science-based profession, you might get a job offer. You might get an email saying we're looking for a Key Stage 3 science teacher. So that would mean we're looking for a science teacher to teach anywhere in years 7, 8, or 9. Then obviously we have Key Stage 4, which is 9 to 11, and then Key Stage 5, which is 12 to 13. So it's pretty similar to the way Australia has things set up, or Canada or New Zealand. But yeah, that's basically how it is, where primary is Key Stage 1 and 2, and secondary is Key Stage 3 to 5.
Yeah, perfect. We obviously work with lots of different schools over there as well.
Yeah, we definitely work with a lot of different schools. Like I said about the key stages, like we have a school that goes up to year 8, right? So it just depends on the school. Some schools have a nursery right inside of their primary school, where some of our nurseries are separate from the primary schools. So we have our just mainstream state schools. Then we have the private independent schools. We have academies. I work with a bunch of academies. So that means there might be 5 of them all in one area. And who knows, if one of the academy likes you, have had a school where one academy really liked the educator, but they didn't have a role for them. So they sent them over to the other academy. And then after they were done, they sent them over there. So there's just, all the schools might work together with academies. Then we have pupil referral units, or PRU schools. So that is basically that could be a school where students with behavioral or different learning difficulties will be referred to that school. So it is strictly for students that are getting that additional help. I myself worked in a school like that when I was in Australia. It was called a specialist school. I absolutely loved it. And then also you have your SEN, which is special educational needs schools as well. So both those type of schools are, personally, I think, a great opportunity to see what they are like. They usually have the coolest staff working there, hence why, I work there. And I think Claire said she worked at one of those too. So I'm just saying, but then you have your co-ed and single-sex schools. So you might have a school that is strictly for boys or a school strictly for girls. It's usually in the name. Like we have one called Mulberry school for girls or Mulberry School for boys. So you're usually going to know what you're going to. We're not just going to send you to a school without letting you know what type of school you're going to. Again, this can all be put in your preferences. Usually people are put that they're open at the very beginning and they're like, oh, well, you know what? I want to stay away from academies for a little bit, or I really liked academies. I want to keep going back to them, or vice versa, right? So then there is faith schools. There's a lot of schools here that have the name Church of England in them. And then you have your community schools, your borough council schools, your nurseries. So yes, so many different types of schools. I would say try them all out at the beginning, see what you like, and then just talk to your consultant. We're going to be checking in with you on a daily basis, especially when it is day to day, and just be like, oh, I really like that school. When you do, what I could do is put you on the preferred list for them. And then that way, if they do need a teacher the next day, I'll see you at the top of my list. And I'm like, that's the school John really likes to work at.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in, I guess, with like the types of work that we can offer for people who aren't qualified teachers. I don't know if there's anyone on here that is not a qualified teacher, but yeah, we work with a super like large range of teaching assistants. We have had lots of experience working in a classroom, or like literally like none at all. I know we've got a few teachers who are girls, and their boyfriends will move over. They might be like a tradie, or like I have one guy who was like a refrigeration mechanic, which I think is like hilarious. And yeah, has been doing teaching assistant. So kind of there's lots of different roles like within a school for like, Nate, you can probably speak a little bit more about that as well, but like technicians, groundskeepers, admin, TA, whether that's like in a mainstream or like a specialist school, like as well. I feel like there's so many different roles within a school, and they need them filled. So yeah, good like referral piece if you're traveling with someone, or like your partner or a friend, and they don't have like work set up for when they get there. Yeah, it's a good chance, even if it's like not always long term. They have that option for work for when they get there. So at least you're earning some pounds pretty quickly. So is there anything else to kind of add to that, or?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. You're right. A lot of people moving over with their partners might refer them. One, you're going to get some extra money for referring
Yeah.
them, but two, there is different jobs available. There is administration work. I think we just placed someone in a science technician role 2 weeks ago because they had studied science back in secondary school, and they were fit for the role. So
Yeah.
if you're ever questioning what ANZ UK can provide you with within a school, if you have someone looking for, someone that might want to do a groundskeeper, have them reach out to us, and hopefully we can get them a job too.
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of ties into the pay and our relocation bonus as well. We won't like go through pay too much. I'm just like obviously quite conscious of the time. But yeah, pay day to day, it will be confirmed by your UK consultant. So they'll chat you through all of that. There are two different ways you can get paid in the UK, which we won't go through right now. But yeah, just tell everyone do your research. You can either be paid through like an umbrella company, which is like a third party, or through us, like it's like directly under the PAYE scheme. But yeah, we'll go through that. That's what me and Claire's job is, as well as like Nate's. And either way, you're paid on a weekly basis, which is always nice. So you work this week, you're paid next Thursday, which is awesome. Like Nate was mentioning, if you're in like a longer term like contract, you'd be paid most likely to scale. So your rate does go up, and that's pretty generic across like the UK. But it does change depending on what part of England like you are living in. Yeah, we have two bonuses, relocation bonuses that are part of, I guess, us. We have our ambassador bonus, which is if you sign that guaranteed work scheme that Nate was talking about earlier. You sign it before you head off. You work 60 days. You get £250 into your bank account, tax free, which is always nice. Helps to pay for a few travel flights, I'm sure. And then yeah, if you agree to your full-time contract, which is like a term or like longer, and again, once you work those 60 days, you get £500 back. So that will pay pretty much, well, nearly for your whole flight, depending on what your flight over was. And yeah, the team will talk you through all that. But the pay and everything is all dependent on what part of England you're on, how many years you've been teaching, and things like that. So, but we can unpack that with you. Anything else to kind of add around the pay side of things, or no?
No, I
I
think
think
you
that's
hit the
it.
nail on the head.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's yeah, cool. Yeah, again, compliance, we won't go through this too much because there's like lots we've already been talking about, obviously. But yeah, the compliance team do an awesome job of getting you ideally cleared for work before you leave. Things like a CV we need. We do police checks. So anywhere you've lived for longer than 12 months in the last 10 years, you'll need one, as well as a UK police check, which they call a DBS, and we can help you with that. There's also a few different your references, sorry, so to cover the last 2 years of employment, whether you've been teaching or whether you've been working in a marketing role, whatever you've been doing for the last 2 years, we'll be getting a reference for. The UK, they have what they call QTS, so which is like your qualified teacher status. So I know like here in Melbourne, we've got VAT. Each state has their own different like registration type. You can teach in the UK for up to 4 years without having like an equivalent. You can apply for it once you've got your full teaching registration in Australia. It's free to do. Yeah, we do tell people like if you can apply for it, you may as well. That there's literally no harm in it. It only really, I guess, kind of comes into play if you're looking for like a longer term kind of role. But yeah, you can teach without having it, which is always nice. And yeah, we can answer any questions that you have around that. But yeah, hopefully that's answers all those compliance questions and things around the process. Again, we touch on this in our calls and things like that, so you're always like aware of it. But yeah, there's our lovely Claire and Kiara at our recent Melbourne event. We have events obviously across not just the UK but here in Melbourne as well. So yeah, the events are a huge part of us as a company. Lots of people we work with are solo travelers, so they aren't going over with anyone. They don't know anyone when they're over there. So you can meet people before you head off, which is awesome. I met Nate at a pre-departure event in Melbourne. And yeah, it's just a really nice chance to like meet people that are moving over at a similar time to you. And we have events as well once you're over there, which is great. And then yeah, our Facebook group, Educators Moving to the UK, awesome place to network with people, keep up to date with anything that's kind of happening and whatnot. But yeah, stunning. Love that photo. Claire, Claire came over
What's
to
that?
Melbourne, the photo of you.
Yeah, that was
Of
good.
Kiara.
Bit of
Yeah.
twilight bowling.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I don't know, Claire, did you want to wrap us up with everything?
Yeah. Just to finish up, I guess, is why partner with ANZ UK. Obviously, you've got that global support around the whole world. So you've got us here on the ground on this side, and that's really pre-departure, and you've got all those questions and that support. Visa services, we've got that specialist team if you need. The events, as we've said, huge part of us is who we are as an organisation before and after you arrive. That's massive, trying to in terms of support and making sure that you're having a good time. We've got our purpose-built app. We've also got some discounts. We haven't really touched on this, but we've got lots of sports teams and things like that you can join, again, if you're a solo traveller. And we've got league and rugby and netball, and you can just join as a social supporter if you want and sort of get along and just support the games. It's heaps of fun. And then we've got a wealth of resources and guides. So yeah, we are here for you wherever you are. And I guess next steps is just throwing it open to you guys for any questions that you might have. You can either flick your camera on and ask, or you can just unmute yourself.
Hello, my name's Campbell. How are you going? Well done, Nate, Libby and Claire. Excellent presentation. Very, very good. Just throwing to Nate, I'm looking at coming over in about a month after the September term starts, so first week in October. Would I be able to join the ambassador program a month into term?
Absolutely. Does not matter. Does not matter when you're coming. We're able to get you on that ambassador contract, sign it before you come, and then it's just the first week and the last week of term, the ambassador contract is in void because that's less busy. Right, but those all the other weeks throughout the year, you would be on the ambassador scheme.
Sounds good. And so Olivia, I guess I'm in Melbourne, so I guess you would be my point of call. And so, as I said, I want to go in October, so I get in touch with you as soon as possible. Get the ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling.
ASAP.
Yeah, literally. We can that's kind of our next slide. You can book a call with me, but we'll send a follow-up email by the end of the week as well for you to talk to one of our team. Yeah.
Excellent.
Exciting.
And with the Ready to Work app, I've got that downloaded for my Melbourne gigs. So is that
Cool.
the same app for London?
I
Or do
actually
it's a
don't think
different
it
app? Not
is.
that it really matters.
Is
It's easy to
yours?
download. But
Yeah,
just
no
wondering.
worry. It's called Ready to Work Next, so we might have the upgraded version. There's two different ones, but it's the same concept at the end of
Yeah.
the day. So when you are on your way over, we'll make sure you have the right one, and maybe I'll be the one meeting you for a beer or a coffee.
Oh yeah, definitely up for a beer. I love my London pub.
There we go. I'll schedule you in now.
Excellent, excellent. Now I'm going to be on an ancestry visa. With the IHS, I haven't seen that before. Is that compulsory? We have to,
Yeah.
and obviously you pay yearly. You wouldn't pay the 5 years for the
No,
ancestry, would you?
Yeah, you got to pay the
yearly.
whole 5 years up front. Yeah.
You pay the whole 5 years up front.
Yeah. It's the same as the youth mobility one for the IHS. So yeah, you pay for it. Even if you like on the youth mobility visa, if you're going over for a year or like less, you still pay for the whole 2 years. It like runs the whole time. But yeah, that industry one you pay up front. It's like a one-off cost, I guess, essentially. Yeah.
But
So
what if you're not there for the 5 years? You wouldn't. Surely you'd
it's
get that back,
still.
wouldn't you?
I don't think so. I think it's clear. Do you know? I think the whole you pay for the whole time. That
Yeah.
that's
That's just a
visa.
flat, yeah, if it's a 5-year visa, you pay for the 5 years and there's no refunds. You can come and go within that 5 years, but they're really black and white. Yeah, there's no
Yeah, because it's just gone up. Well, I
Yes,
say
on
just
that.
in January. The IHS was increased for both visas, for all visas actually. That need that fee. Yeah, it was a little bit less. Yeah, before the 31st of January, but as of then it changed. So yeah, you pay for that whole cost up front for both visas.
Yikes.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah.
That's me done. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, Campbell. Does anyone else have any other questions or?
Hi, I do have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hey Emily. Yep.
Hi, how are you going? I'm Emily.
Hello.
I'm from Australia, so I'm looking to go in January 2025.
Mhm.
And so I'm having to ask my current school, because I'm already working at a school full time, for a year of leave without pay to go over to the UK.
Yep.
Is it okay, like, because I'm planning like January to December kind of thing, because obviously that's the Australian school year.
Yeah.
Is that okay to go on, like, what was it called? Not
The
the,
youth
was
mobility
it the
one?
full contract?
Oh,
Oh no, sorry, I'm talking about the contracts for school.
sorry. Yeah, like
No,
the
you're
long
right.
term.
The long term, yeah.
Mm.
How does, like, do they have problems with, like, if you leave in December, or like, I guess that was my question.
Yeah, I can answer that one. So usually if you're coming in January, since that's like half basically, or not half, but
Yeah.
there's 2 terms left, right? So the role you might be hired for, the long-term role, might only go to the end of July.
Okay, yeah.
Then the school can there'd be 2 options from there. You would either choose to extend into September, go all the way till December, and schools would, if they really like you, more than
Yeah.
likely be fine with that for you leaving in December, because we have a bunch of Australians do that all the time. The other
Yeah.
option is, what you could do is you can work from that January to July, which is July being the end of the academic year, then find a new role to start in September and work in a new classroom from September to December. So it depends on what you want, but no matter what, there is a lot of jobs that pop up long-term starting in January. It just so I wouldn't be too worried about finding it initially. It just depends on if you're going to extend or switch to a new school in September.
Okay, cool. Because I'm open to staying for 2 or so years. I'm just kind of doing 1 year at the moment and seeing how we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what
awesome.
most
We'll
people
look
say.
forward to having you.
Yeah, exciting. That will come around soon. Is there any other questions? Hopefully everyone's feeling excited after this. But yeah, like we said, we'll send through an email by the end of the week. And yeah, we'll send through like the slide pack and a few other resources and things like that. And yeah, feel free to book a call in with one of our team, Claire, myself, or Chris. But yeah, if there's any other questions, let us know. Otherwise, yeah, thank you so much for joining in tonight. Thank you, Nate, from joining us from London. And yeah, exciting. Hopefully you'll be able to meet some of these people. Sounds like lots of people going over in January, so next year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my pleasure. This was great. This is how I like to start my day. I wouldn't have got up at 5 a.m. for anything else, but no, it was great. I look forward to meeting everyone and having everyone over here one day. Because definitely reach out when you're here if you're meeting with a different consultant and you remembered me from this webinar. Just if you're in the office and you see me in the corner working hard, drinking 10 cups of coffee, just come pat me on the shoulder and say hey. So yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night
Thanks,
or
guys.
day.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Cheers. Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.